If you've ever worked on a project creatively or professionally in a business setting, then a lot of times you might experience burnout. It's because you're not focused on sustainable success and growth. You don't take the breaks that you need to stay productive. You suppress your own voice in a lot of ways to please the crowds. You actively start hating the work that you're doing, or your mental impact. Too many content creators and artists burn out because they're not focused on sustainable success and growth. And if you've ever worked on a project and for your business or for somebody else, this also relates to you. But people generally don't take the breaks that they need to keep their energy up, to keep the productivity coming. They suppress their creative voices to please others or the crowd. They actively start hating their work because the deadlines are too short, or they're arbitrary, or they just aren't feeling connected to what they're doing anymore. Their mental health gets impacted. In today's episode of The Meaningful Revolution, we will talk about these problems and what you can do about them. Uh, let's begin. Hey everyone, it's Sean. Today in the Meaningful Revolution, we have a solo episode here where we're going to talk a little bit on how the Meaningful Revolution brand is shifting. That means for you, the listener, and just some really good value for y'all today. When I first started the Meaningful Revolution podcast about 2 years ago now, which is insane, I was just following a thread, an artistic thread of I like talking with people one-on-one. If we talk to people about what they're super passionate about, that'll be a compelling conversation. It'll inspire people to maybe do a little bit more of their purposeful work or their meaningful pursuits in their day-to-day life. And maybe we'll pull some secrets of the trade or what has helped them achieve more in their space, right? Or what makes their space so cool. So personally, this was a way for me to network with people that I admire or to get talking to people as an introvert so that it could help my coaching practice grow. So that was part of it. So it's to connect with people I admire, to maybe find collaborations and start building relationships to help my coaching business. As we've evolved and as I started talking to more artists, more authors, more course creators, more people that run small businesses and agencies, I've noticed a shift in that everyone is creating, right? And as you're listening right now, you might not identify yourself as a creator, but if you've ever done any type of writing, if you write emails, you're a creator, in my opinion. If you do YouTube videos, if you write books, if you write articles, if you do newsletters, if you do anything where you're taking knowledge from your head and putting it into a digital format or physical format, you are a creator. And this mindset, this shift means that if you are a creator, we all face some common hiccups in our progress and how successful we are in life and with our craft or with our work. And so the Meaningful Revolution really, to me, is the collective action all these creators are taking to make the world a better place. And so that's what my Meaningful Revolution is. I don't talk about this enough, and I realize I've been asked this a couple of times outside of the podcast. What is your Meaningful Revolution? You ask people this all the time. And I struggle to really articulate it, right? It's a feeling of wanting to help people and serve. But ultimately, I want to help influence creators to be more productive, to be more performing, to be more effective in what they do, because we can help create the world in the way that needs to be a better place. So that's my Meaningful Revolution. I want to help inspire other creators to go out there, do their craft, and add positivity to the world. And I'd love a million creators to have interacted with me and felt like, hey, Sean and the Meaningful Revolution really changed how I thought about the work I was doing, what it means out in the world. and how I'm going about doing it in a way that is sustainable. So that's the big idea today, right? As we're talking through some of these common scenarios that prevent people from creating in general, the idea is these are just habits, right? And as habits, either the habits on how we talk to ourselves, the mindsets, or the things that we're actually doing out there, they can be changed. And the fact that they can be changed should be really exciting because it means you're not stuck. If you feel frustrated or you feel overwhelmed in the work that you're doing, changing your habits will how you relate to those things. And that is exciting to me. I hope you find it as exciting too, because as soon as you realize as a creator that you have more agency over the things that are going on in your life than you think, you can start making decisions to start shifting, right? And this could be if you have an idea, I want to write a book on how to knit sweaters for kittens, right? Maybe that's a niche. Maybe that's not something you're super interested in. And you're like, I don't know how to write that book. I don't know how to knit. There's a lot of inputs that go into this to inspire you to start exploring those habits and those skills and the things that you need to do to start making that a reality. Because as we know from the internet, cats are a thing and they really do sell. Everyone's interested in cat videos and dog videos. So maybe that's the second book is the puppies. But ultimately, if you have that idea, what's your plan to start experimenting and having fun? And to start making strides to get more proficient as a knitter and more proficient as a writer so that you can write a book on how to make sweaters for kittens. That's, hopefully one part of the audience here. Second part is people that have an idea. You've written a book. You have an Etsy store for the sweaters for kittens that you're selling, right? And you want to reach more people. You want to have more impact with it. And you're burning out while you're doing the work, right? So you only maybe knit one kitten sweater a week. And Etsy, there's a high demand for it. You really need to be doing like 5. So how do you grow your team? How do you maybe do the work more effectively? Maybe you start researching how to have a kitten sweater factory so you can handle the uptick in sales or just get noticed more. So there's a lot of different problems if you have created something and you're trying to grow it. And then there's people that are experts at it that are just trying to become more efficient, even more efficient than you have something you're trying to get to grow. You have a successful product, you have a successful idea out there in the world. And now it's how do you form collaborations? How do you strategically think, how can I grow this in a way that is exponential? And how can I do it in less time? And how can I do it with maybe less resources that you need? So that's the general idea now for the brand. And I'll still be interviewing people about what they nerd out about. I still think that thread from an artistic view from the podcast is a great thing. But I'm hoping to interview with a more creator-focused perspective. So we can highlight what struggles people have. We can highlight how they overcame them. We can highlight why they nerd out about the thing they nerd out. And leave you each episode with some things to think about to either start your creative journey, start your side gig, or grow your side gig into your full gig, or to create a movement out in the world. So I'm really excited for this. This feels very aligned towards that meaningful revolution that I have to help a million creators create a positive force out in the world to facilitate the collective action of creators and changing the world for good in a meaningful way for each of us. So I hope you continue to be along with me for that journey. So stay tuned as we flesh that out. And by we, I mean me, because it's just me in this business. So that's the update for the podcast right now. And I know I tend to do these probably once a season-ish, as I've been trying to think through publicly what this means. But this feels like I've settled on this going forward. So if you're listening to this, hearing it hot off the press, it's been months and months of journaling and note taking and talking with people to make this happen. So if you were one of the people that I've talked through with this, you know who you are. Thank you so much. I'm going to show some appreciation for some of the y'all in the audience: Jim, Ashley, Yasmin. I know I'm going to forget people as I didn't have this part, and I was like, I'll just appreciate the audience, and then I'm like, oh, I should thank some specific people. So Brian, Aaron, Mim, the list goes on and on. So thank you all for your input, your support, and for making this great. So with that said, let's get into a couple of questions as a creator you might be asking yourself, or you might ask yourself as you move forward. And we'll talk about some habits that might help you then excel in that, okay? Let's jump into it. More of this episode after a quick break. Hey there, aspiring entrepreneurs. Are you ready to take your business idea or mission to the next level? It can be overwhelming and costly to juggle 100 different tools to operate your online business. So let me introduce to you Kajabi, the all-in-one platform that I use to run my podcast, promote my coaching services, do email marketing, website, blog, and more. So Kajabi has everything you need, from website hosting to payment processing, and you can build a business that's responsive and agile to market demands. Plus, Kajabi offers excellent 24/7 customer support that I've used exclusively in my years of using this platform. It's great. I love it. And a supportive online community of over 25,000 members, along with access to live and on-demand trainings. There's tons and tons of support in the Kajabi community. I personally use Kajabi and love how it simplifies running my business and podcast. And it's helped me save time to focus on what really matters, creating value for you and the podcast and my coaching clients. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level, go to www.seanbutler.com/Kajabi to sign up for a free 30-day trial. Now, this is an affiliate link, so if you use my link as a special bonus, you'll get a free 1-hour high-performance strategy session where we'll go over your goals for your trial. We'll help you get clear on what you're going after, keep motivated through the 30 days so you can maximize the impact of this free trial. I know that you can do this. You got this. In the strategy session, all the support of Kajabi, the amazing all-in-one platform, is everything you need to get started or to amplify what you're already doing digitally. So with that said, let's get back to the episode. So the first question most creators, I think, have at some point in their career, and hopefully you're having this conversation with earlier than later, which is why we're starting with this question, is what habits do you need to succeed, right? But more importantly, like, how do you define success for yourself? Is it, I want to create a business that's self-sustaining? Is it, I want to reach a couple million people? Is it, I just want to find my tribe? I want to put out the videos of me knitting cat sweaters and find the 5 other people on the planet that are super hyper-focused on it, like me, so we can connect, trade sweater tips for kittens and pictures and all that kind of stuff, right? I'll say that how you define success is going to define your mental health as a creator as you move forward. And I would definitely think that, or so I think, and from my perspective, especially as a high performance coach, it's how are you consistently growing past your normal level of energy, of output, of creativity, of quality, of quantity, all those that different things. How are you constantly growing those from your baseline without damaging your health, your well-being, or your relationships? So can you double your creative output this next week and still have your family and friends love you? So can you double your creative outputs and still have the health to then enjoy all of the windfall from it later. So many people in the creative space, and you'll see people quit YouTube channels, you'll see people struggle with trying to write and release a book and giving up the craft because they haven't found how to do it in a sustainable way. They're not, if you go 3 days without sleep, without eating, just trying to create a YouTube video or just writing your book, you're going to have a crash. You're going to sleep for 2 days. You're going to feel miserable while you do it. And for so many people, creating is hard. It doesn't have to be miserable. And what do I mean by that? It can be something that's pushing you beyond your current set of skills, your comfort level, how you think about yourself and the things that you're capable of. That's all good, right? But if it's pushing you too much beyond that, that's when you start asking yourself the question, like, is there more to life than this? Or how did I get myself here, right? Why am I on this constant rat race of trying to release 50 full-length podcasts every week? I'm always failing. I'm always beating up on myself because I'm not putting out the quality that I want, and I'm not matching the quantity that I want, as an example. So why am I even doing this? Why is this even worth it? Right? If you get to that point of frustration or where you're just like, why am I doing this? You haven't really thought about this question of how do you define success for yourself? And the great news is, doing some very simple high performance habits can get you back on track. Things we'll talk about here in a quick minute. But so the first thing that, as a creator or in your business, first question I would love to ask you is, what habits do you have that are helping you sustain your creative outputs, helping your forward momentum? Take a quick minute or pause this if you're listening or watching and take a minute or two to write that down. Second question is, what habits are hurting your relationships, hurting your health, hurting your sense of joy and connectedness to your work every day? And so many creators don't ask themselves this second question. And part of it is if you just have clarity about the habits that are helping you or hurting you, you can now start to make educated and impactful changes to those behaviors that will help serve the longevity of your career. And that's ultimately what we want. We want you to be creating, putting out good for the rest of your life if you choose, or until you are on to the next thing, right? When you're ready to be like, I did everything I could on this topic, I took it as far as I could, I advanced the world while doing it, time for the next thing. That's what we want. We don't want you to be like, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't think I can do this, I'm just going to give up, before that idea has had a chance to breathe and have its full impact out in the world. That's what I want for each and every one of you. And I hope you feel that. And I hope you believe that you can do it, because again, it's sustainable habits that can really help you. Outside of the habits that are serving your sustainable growth and putting your creativity out there or hurting that, other habits to consider are, what are the habits you have to keep you on track and get you back on when life happens, right? So much of, there's a status quo of every day is happening normally, you're moving forward, you're going, and some life happens, right? A family member dies, God forbid. There's an accident and your car's wrecked, and now you have to figure out how to manage all that. There's a fire, or your electricity gets shut off, or who knows? There's an endless amount of things that life can throw at you as a curveball that you now have to address, right? And so when you are knocked off of that status quo of the things that are serving you and, not doing the things that are not. So when you get knocked out of that status quo, how do you get back on track? Do you have habits to be like, when I'm angry because somebody nearly hit me trying to cross the crosswalk yesterday, which really happened to me, how do you calm yourself down and get back to a productive space in a way that's authentic too, not just papering over emotions, but like, I was pretty angry about it, but sat out in the sun, did some journaling, did some breathing exercises to release the stress, and back to doing my day-to-day stuff I went. So this is the power of habits, and we'll talk about some specific high-performance habits coming up. But I just wanted you to take an inventory of some of the habits that will be helping you as a creator as you move forward. Super love that. If you are, I'd love to hear what your habits are too. So you can always go to SeanButner.com or email support@SeanButner.com. I'd love to hear your habits, and we'll cheer you on in the next episode or two of the podcast if you do that. So please go and to support@SeanButner.com with what habits really work for you and the habits that you use to get back on track so we can celebrate you. And I'm just curious. Check that out. Right. First kind of major area of where creators get off track is how do you get back on track after disappointment, right? So some people are doing the work, they're sweating, there's tears, there's blood even sometimes as we create, and it doesn't seem like it's connecting, it's not getting traction out in the marketplace, right? And this can be very crushing, right? You pour so much effort of trying to make the perfect newsletter, the perfect YouTube video, the perfect podcast, and you're like, this one is going to be the one that everyone loves. There's going to be a bajillion types of subscribers and likes and have sponsorship deals, and you build up this whole thing in your head and you release it and you stare at the 0 views forever, right? It never changes. And I've been in this part of my career as a coach and creator of content to support my coaching business. Even the podcast, at times, it has felt like it should be reaching more people, right? I should be more impactful with it. And what I'll caution you is all of that I just said is a comparison and an expectation of external validation, right? So let's talk about this idea of intrinsic versus extrinsic validation, right? It's much healthier and will sustain you a lot more if you can focus on why you're doing and why it's important to you versus what you're hoping to get out of the process. And I see creators do this all the time in that it's like, I posted the post on social media and nobody engaged with it. Like, why? It's like, that's the bad way to think about it because it's assuming that the algorithm's in your favor. It's assuming that everyone you want to reach is available and sees the thing that you put out, right? So much content on social media, a third of the audience might see it. And that's why people post a bunch of times a day. But that expectation of this is going to pick up steam, it's going to be the thing that breaks me out and changes my life is that expectation that'll lead you to doubt yourself when it doesn't happen, right? And so much of being a creative is, at least in my opinion, doing things that interest you and following that artistic instinct that you have and not caring other people like it or not. Chances are there are other people that will love the thing that you're doing. And when they see it, they'll connect with it. But there's a lot of faith and no, this idea is interesting to me and other people will find it interesting. So that's the idea of the reward for me for creating a podcast like this. I know that this might help you in your creative career, whatever your creation is, right? And I can trust that. And you can like it or you can not like it. And as soon as I hit publish on this episode and it's out in the world, it's out in the world. And how it does is up to the gods. So again, that's a way for me to continue going, right? And that was the whole thread here is how do you continue going, right? And so you definitely want to focus on intrinsic reasons why you're doing what you're doing versus that extrinsic validation. Yeah, that will be healthier for you over the long run. Another way to look at it too is you have a big expectation of reaching 50 million people with a post in the next week and release the post and only 150 people see it, right? The issue isn't that it wasn't a successful, and in this case, it could have been your most successful post. The issue is you had zero, and then you had the big goal at 50 million people, and there's no points of celebration along the way. And so I was listening to a Jay Klaus podcast a while ago. He released a new product. It was his most successful product. And as he was debriefing what happened, he shared this really interesting insight of, this is the most successful product launch I have done. And I didn't feel like it was successful because it didn't meet the number that I put to it. And I didn't have the milestone of, if it breaks this as the most successful product I want, but that's something to celebrate. That's something to be proud of. So I hope that these are illustrating to you that there's so much psychology. You focus on the intrinsic things, on the small wins that lead up to the big win that you hope for and want. And you're just being really clear on why you're doing what you're doing, right? And why you're doing. More of this episode after a quick break. Hey there, aspiring entrepreneurs. Are you ready to take your business idea or mission to the next level? It can be overwhelming and costly to juggle 100 different tools to operate your online business. So let me introduce to you Kajabi, the all-in-one platform that I use to run my podcast, promote my coaching services, do email marketing, website, blog, and more. So Kajabi has everything you need, from website hosting to payment processing, and you can build a business that's responsive and agile to market demands. Plus, Kajabi offers excellent 24/7 customer support that I've used exclusively in my years of using this platform. It's great. I love it. And a supportive online community of over 25,000 members, along with access to live and on-demand trainings. There's tons and tons of support in the Kajabi community. I personally use Kajabi and love how it simplifies running my business and podcast. And it's helped me save time to focus on what really matters, creating value for you and the podcast and my coaching clients. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level, go to www.seanbutner.com/Kajabi to sign up for a free 30-day trial. Now, this is an affiliate link, so if you use my link as a special bonus, you'll get a free 1-hour high-performance strategy session where we'll go over your goals for your trial. We'll help you get clear on what you're going after, keep motivated through the 30 days so you can maximize the impact of this free trial. I know that you can do this. You got this. In the strategy session, all the support of Kajabi, the amazing all-in-one platform, is everything you need to get started or to amplify what you're already doing digitally. So with that said, let's get back to the episode. So what can you do if you feel disappointment in your craft, or you're connected to that external validation and it's not making you feel bad about yourself, or you're so disappointed you didn't do the big thing, even though it might have been your best thing yet? 2 high performance habits here to make sure that you are able to recover from disappointment. The first, I call them the physio ABCs. So your physiology. Of course, with any of this stuff, make sure you talk to your doctors before you change anything. I don't know your exact situation, but the high performance literature in general says, are you moving your body every day? Whether intense exercises, are you getting outside, getting sun on your eyeballs? Are you getting enough sleep each night? Are you hydrating? Are you eating nutritious foods, right? So just your basic health things, right? Move your body, get enough sleep, drink enough water, get outside sometime. These are the things that can help you feel resilient or will make you less resilient if they're missing from your life. Is there anything in that list that immediately sprung up for you? Oh, I need more sleep. Or, oh, I don't drink water. I need to drink more water. Or, oh, I never see the sun because I work deep in the dungeon of my corporation or in the basement of my house. I need to work on it. Whatever that is for you, write that down or make a note to do something about that in the next 3 days, right? So just do one thing that'll help your basic physiology be more resilient so that you can recover from disappointment as it comes up. The other thing is being very clear on your values, right? In high performance coaching, we talk a lot about this 3-word exercise, or the 3 words that if you're living into your best, most courageous, most productive self, what would 3 words be that would describe that person that you're striving to be every day? And we phrase it that way. So what are your 3 words? What comes to mind for you? For me, I want to be optimistic. As a coach, as a podcast host, as an interviewer, as a partner, I want to be the person that is hoping for a better future, right? That's how I define optimism. It's not that things will turn out great. It's that I believe we can collectively change how things happen to us, to our families, in the world. And so it's important as a coach because so many times I'm cheering people on. If you are going through something really heavy, it's nice to have the optimistic person that isn't getting caught in what they did or what they said or how shitty the whole situation is, but focused on what are you going to do now to move forward through this. And so many people love coaching for that particular reason. But so that's why optimism is important to me. And that's why it's one of my 3 words. So I strive to be optimistic as much as possible because it helps my career. It helps me stay healthy in my mind too, especially when things go bad. Okay, this is really terrible. There's be something funny that we'll laugh about it in a while. What do we got to do to get to where we got to go? What's the next steps? So optimism, important, career and personally for me. And so for each of these words for you, you hear what I did? Explain why it's important to you personally, to your family, or to your community, because that will give it some more teeth to sink in. So for me, it's optimistic. It's present when I'm in session with someone as a coach or I'm interviewing somebody for this podcast. I really want to be in the moment for you. And I really want to be actively listening and just showing that I care, right? If you've ever been in a situation where you're talking with someone, you can tell their mind is somewhere else. That's like a pet peeve of mine. It really grates at me. I'm not important enough for you to address or be aware of. And parents, I'm sure you get this from your kids, and I'm sure your kids understand this from you when you are there and focused and present and when your mind's wandering. So it's simple, like as a relationship business that I'm in, showing that you care is being present in my opinion. So that's why that's important to me. And creative, right? A lot of times in my career, you have to really be open and curious about possibilities. And that's another great thing about coaching is as I talk through situations with my clients, I can't judge what's happening. It's like, okay, like, where can we take this to move people forward? That's kind of the creative aspect of that. So that's why those, at a very high level, those 3 words are important for me: optimistic, present, and creative. What are your 3 words that describe the best you for your work, for your art, for your interactions with people? This is a very powerful exercise that a lot of people have done, and people absolutely love this. And this will help you manage disappointment, right? Because if you notice, right? So if I release a podcast and nobody listens to it, being present on, okay, like I need to get that happened, right? I can't feel bad about it and then bury my feelings by eating or something like that. Optimistically, it's like, okay, I need to change something on how I formatted this or how I promoted it or how I'm collaborating with people. And so I can take the agency to make the changes. And then you get creative. Okay, like, what are the things I'm going to change? So those 3 words keep me moving forward through disappointment. What are your 3 words? And these are like 3 value words too. So like these 3 words are applicable in any of the situations further we're going to talk about. But it's such a powerful exercise. What are your 3 words that describe your best self? Why are they important to you? I'm done beating that dead horse. Okay. Okay. Second question here is, how do you handle slow progress, right? So many creatives feel the pressure to see immediate results, but when that doesn't happen and progress is slow or non-existent, like, how do you handle that, right? In high performance, again, we talked a little bit about this at the top of the episode. You need to focus on why you are creating. Why is it necessary that you put this thing out of your head, out of your heart, and into the world, right? And it's so important to find that for yourself, because the people that succeed are the ones that are able to continue, right? You can't fail until you say, I quit. Essentially, you hear that form of that or another out on the web, out in the world. And technically it's true, but so much of being a titan of industry, so much of being a high performer in a particular field or being a high performing athlete is having the endurance and perseverance to go through the tough things to continue. Right? It's just showing up every day, being present every day, and saying, like, this is what I'm going after. This is how I want to show up. This is how I want to interact. And this is what I want to give to the world. And it's important to me because of this, right? The other thing about handling slow progress is a lot of times there's fear about not being successful or being financially ruined, or so many other fears that are showing up that are causing you to make, instead of focusing on being creative and figuring out how to speed up your progress or reaching out for help, you are stuck in your fears and it becomes this whole miserable experience, right? And the enemy of our meaningful revolutions is being miserable in the process, right? You will not sustain anything if you are miserable doing it. And like, too, you could run a marathon and be miserable running the marathon, but then you finish, there's a payout of accomplishment, of self-respect, of self-pride that you finished that marathon. It's not that you do marathon training, get to the race and quit before you start running the dang thing. That is the marker that you completed it. And you're afraid that it's going to hurt running 26.2 miles. I know that I've struggled with this a lot in my business, and the idea of progress really, again, comes down to, are you capable of doing this? Are you worthy of success? Those types of things. So high performance habit here is to identify those fears you might have also, right? Focus on your necessity, the first habit here. Second is the 3 fears exercises. Like, we know from high performance studies, people generally have 3 different types of fears. That is, they have loss fear, that if I start running a marathon, I'm going to give up eating pizza and I'm going to give up having time with people, or you're going to lose something by doing the thing. If I continue to create and pour my heart into making YouTube videos or writing my book, I'm not going to be able to enjoy time with the kids, or I'm not going to be able to take vacations or those types of things. So what are the loss fears you might be feeling as you come up with this? Also, we have outcome fear, right? If I finish the book and release it and it doesn't do well, is it even worth it, right? Where you're fearing that the grass is going to be, if it doesn't reach 1 million people, is it even worth it? So that's, you're focused on the outcome. You're fearing the outcome isn't going to be what you hope, right? Third type of fear is process. That the act of sitting at your computer for 4 hours every day to write the book is going to be boring. You're going to pull your hair out. You're not going to be able to handle the actual doing of the thing. What's great about each of these fears is, again, if we're talking about that intrinsic and extrinsic motivators, like, why are you doing this for yourself? Again, what is necessary here? Why are you doing this? Why is it necessary that you're doing this? Versus that external validation of selling 1,000,000 books. Again, that'll help you ground. And then the question for each of these types of fears you might have too is, what do you gain by moving through the fear? Yeah, maybe if you write the book and it doesn't sell 1,000,000 copies, what you will gain is you'll have a finished book at the end of it. You'll have proven to yourself that you could do it and that you did do it. And you can be proud. And then you can figure out the part of promoting and selling it going forward. Third main bucket that we'll talk about today before we wrap up, folks, is how do you handle competing interests as a creator? I hope this has been helpful for you. I have an outline and I'm riffing a little bit. There's a little bit different format for these solo episodes, but I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you are too. So, creator. First, it depends on what these competing interests are, right? Is it obligations to keep a roof over your head, to pay the bills, feed the kids, take care of the people around you? Those are obligations, and they're good obligations, and you shouldn't really mess with those, right? You should factor into your decision making. Those are good ones. But if your book or your course or your YouTube channel is your side gig or hobby, and your main job is really demanding, how do you manage those priorities? Or how do you manage getting things done when you have something pulling a lot of your attention, effort, and energy? Or every creator I know ends up entering a phase where they just have too many ideas. They want to launch a community, start a newsletter, launch 3 podcasts, have 15 different products, and they're going to market all this stuff. And you just get overwhelmed with opportunity, right? Maybe you have 50 different collaborations you could do or interviews you could do. Like, you get to this point where there's so many things you could be doing. You're not dedicating focus and energy on 1 or 2 things that'll really get you results. And so that can really throw you off, throw your attention off the prize, the main thing. Third thing that causes a little bit of overwhelm with these competing interests is if you don't have systems to track what you're doing, you don't have systems to handle incoming requests, you don't have systems to actually do the work and see progress on that. Or the fourth thing, where people lose interest in their topic, but are afraid to give it up because you'll see this in YouTubers that start doing like how-to videos and then want to switch into lifestyle. And that's just an example. There are so many things where you start off doing one type of thing or on one topic and you want to switch it up, and then you feel like you're going to let your audience down or that you can't follow that artistic thread that's pulling you. So what do you do in this situation? You give yourself a little bit of grace and say, it's okay, you're human. You can have all these things. You might, depending on what is overwhelming you, what is causing this diffusion of your attention, you might need to reprioritize. You might need to delegate some things. You might need to just get organized or develop processes. So take some time to do some admin. Or sometimes you got to be brave and just say, hey, we're switching things, right? I did that at the top of this episode, saying we're switching the focus a little bit on this podcast to focus more on people that are creative, right? And everyone's creative, again, like I said. So this is still applicable to you. It's just a little bit of a different shift, hoping to bring a little bit of different energy and more tight focus on how this is helpful. So depending on that. So general productivity habits that you can do from high performance is to, prioritize at least 5 minutes a day towards that meaningful pursuit or your craft, right? For me, years ago, I wrote a book on how to get out of student debt. And that was I could do a whole podcast on that process. At the height of it, I was working at a tech job, and so I would spend 10 minutes on breaks writing chapters or going over outlines. I'd take my lunch break, get out of the office, and spend a half hour writing. And that's how I got the first couple of drafts of that ebook out, carving small parts of time in my day. So a little bit of effort applied over a whole year equals a lot of time. I think you spent 9 minutes every day, which has implications too. If you do social media for 10 minutes every day, it's a lot of time that you spent scrolling and not engaging or creating. So, but that's the first thing. Plan at least 5 minutes to focus on your craft. Second thing, do your most important thing as soon as you can in your workday each day. So if you really want to get some progress on your creative endeavor, you do your morning routine, do your breakfast, hygiene, whatever. The first 5 minutes you're going to do of work, you're going to spend working on your craft. Right? I'm going to do one post, I'm going to write a paragraph, I'm going to do 5 bullet points, whatever it is, whatever is easiest for you to just accomplish in 5 minutes, right? Then you'll do the next important thing. And so for the first hour of your day, you want to be doing the highest priority things without engaging in email, without engaging in social media, right? If you can do that, if you can carve out, do your first thing, the first hour, work hour you have, first 5 minutes on your creative thing, the most important things that come up either on your day job or creatively, get that done. Don't look at your emails, don't look at social medias. You get that hour done, you will find that your productivity increases so much. So we covered a lot. This is a lot longer of a podcast episode than I was planning. To recap, we talked about what habits you need to have to succeed. So we talked about reflecting on habits. We talked about how to get back on track after disappointment. If you're putting stuff out, it's not connecting. We talked about how to handle slow progress when you are not feeling like you're advancing as quickly as you could have or should be. And we talked about how are you handling the competing interests in your life as a creator. So all that said, we talked about then 5 habits in there, right? Again, it's reflect on your habits to come up with ABCs, do that 3-word exercise, identify any fears in that 3 fears framework we talked about. And then the morning productivity, do your number one thing for 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes of your workday, and no email or social until that's done. Okay, so that is what we're talking about today. I hope you loved this episode of The Meaningful Revolution. I know I loved coming up with this for you. This is feeling a little bit more focused and dedicated, but I'd love to hear what you guys think. So again, you can email support@seanbutler.com to talk about the habits that we mentioned earlier today. Leave a comment. You can always go to seanbutler.com or just seanbutler.com at the top. You'll see a review button in the menu. Review the podcast. This is how we grow, get the word out. If you could get 3 of your friends to listen to this episode, I'd really love that to get the word out too. So with that, creator, you are doing great. This is going to be a place for you to become a high-performing creator. I'm really excited about the journey we're going to take together. I'm very grateful that you're still listening if you're here. Appreciate you. We'll see you in the next episode of the Meaningful Revolution podcast.